Hello and welcome to another episode of Leaders of Transformation. Okay, so hold on to your hats because we have with us here today a force of nature. She is an amazing champion. She teaches people how to live like a champion. We have Camilita Nuttall here with us. And if you have been following me at all on social media, you know I've been on her show. I've been on her Global Champions Summit, which we'll talk a little bit about later. And she's just an amazing woman with an incredible story, overcoming adversity. And now, like I said, living like a champion. And you know what? She's been creating transformation around the world, helping people with, their business, with their sales, but also just believing for what is possible. So Camilita, welcome, Leaders Transformation. We are excited that you're here today.
Well, it's a pleasure. Look, you're my sister. I told you that. You're my sister. You're stuck with me now.
Yeah, I think together we're going to do a lot of great things, and we already are. And I know that there's so much that I'm excited about going forward. Actually, as I was looking at your website and seeing some of the things you're doing in the foundations and some of the things that I'm planning to do with the Leaders of Transformation, it's very much in line in terms of helping the next generation. And that's the next generation of leaders ultimately. Absolutely. And champions. So let's tell the listeners a little bit more about, I have your bio, it's like a page and a half of all your accomplishments, but I thought it would be more fun to actually have you share a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, where do I start?
Start at the beginning.
Oh my God. When I think about doing interviews and I think about people like you that has, especially the name of your podcast, Leaders of Transformation. And I think from more so, it is how we have transformed our own lives to start.
Yes.
And so my journey started in living in the Caribbean, growing up really poor, struggling through school. But at the age of 13, my father said to my mother, we no longer have money. So, you're not going to be able to finish secondary school. And my mother, who at the time said, no, she's not having it. We're going to find a way. So my mother and I, at the age of 13, went on the public dump. Now you see children in Africa digging through rubbish and in India, certain places, digging through rubbish to get things to sell, to eat. That's what I had to do at the age of 13 in order to attend secondary school because I wanted to learn. And I looked at television, looked at Dallas and Dynasty and the things and, swelling and all the pearls and the jewelry. And I thought, I want to live like that. What do I need to do? So my mother said, go to school, get a good job, have a career. And my mother said, invest. I had no idea, but I had people around me who had things, but we didn't. And I'm like, well, why do they have and why? What happened to me? And so I made a decision at that point that I was going to do whatever it takes to win. And so I moved from Trinidad, started studying law, came to England, finished my law degree, heard about the industry of direct sales, corporate sales. And we talked about this before. Decided to jump into MLM, built a global business, 11,000 distributors, 30 countries, with over 20 million in sales, created multiple businesses after that, got into property, started doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and then launched the Event of Champions. And I know you mentioned a little bit about the Global Champion Summit, which we'll talk about later on. That has been my journey. And for me, that is transformation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's interesting is I was listening to you share about your own journey and the thoughts that were going through your mind and what you were focusing on. Do you think that people who have it easy, that they miss out a little bit? Not that you want your kids to go through difficulty, but there's something that they miss. They take it for granted. Have you noticed that in working with people?
I think people have their own challenges, whether they're rich or whether they're poor. Rich people have rich people challenges, and poor people have poor people challenges, because the rich, to an extent, is judged by the poor because they've got, and the poor judges themselves because why I couldn't have. But I've met rich people, very wealthy people, and I've met very poor people, and both of them had challenges. It is how they use those challenges to help them be better and then to impart that on humanity, which is because when I was poor, And living like that, I thought that I needed that to get me to the next level. And when I got to a point where I realized, yeah, I'm glad and I'm grateful for the poverty and the stress and the pressure that I went through, because it has made me into someone. And the more I spent time with people that were rich, I realized they also had challenges that made them into who they are. So it doesn't matter whatever spectrum people were at, they have challenges, whether they've self-belief, whether it's, how they look. I mean, it's literally, it's the same. It literally is the same. How we use it is a difference.
So let's talk about that. So how do you live like a champion? How do you use that? How do you use your adversity in your life to be able to be a champion and live like that and help others live like that?
I think it's first recognizing that there is something bigger than you. Recognizing that if you were to die today, what would you regret you didn't do? And I think that for me is where everything shifted. Even though I was traveling and making money and building businesses and having large teams and investing in property and in this and that, what it came down to, I had lightning come through my house. And when lightning literally came into my bedroom, this far from my bed, and there was a smoke and fire in that room, and I just got up. And at that point, I thought, if I were to die at that point, what would I regret I didn't do? And prior to that, I was in Mexico for about a week or so. My husband is a European manager for a cancer hospital. And while in Mexico, I met this lady. She was just like me, had all the trophies and had all the money and traveling and, big top and all sorts of things. And she said, look at me now, I'm dying. She says, don't live like me, Camilita. You have all of those things and you're traveling and you 50 countries you travel to and you did this and you don't live like me. She says, look at now, with all what I had to sell everything and it cannot pay for my life. And then when I came back to the UK, she died. And then I said, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to do what she says. I'm going to change. And what happens to all of us? We talk about transformation. We go back. We sort of park. We go back into it. And I went back into it. Then that lightning happened, Nicole. And then everything changed for me. Because at that moment I realized, and for all the people that are listening, if something were to happen to you right now, what would you regret you didn't do?
Yeah.
Then go and transform your life today.
Do it now. Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah, it's so funny because we get caught. I notice I actually am working with a client right now that comes to mind, and he's just so used to doing the same thing over and over again, and it's hard for him to imagine doing something else because he's in this box,
yes,
right? Of this is the way it's done. And so even as he's trying to create something new, a new business, he's still looking within this framework of this box.
Yes,
when,
yes.
I said to him, what if we would eliminate the box and really ask the question of what would you love doing and what would you regret not doing on your last day? And then it totally opens it up. So absolutely. So what are you most passionate about right now?
I think, you and I talked a lot about this before on my podcast and on my summit. My heart, where I feel contented, where I feel as if I am living my purpose, where I feel as if I were to die tomorrow, I know I would have lived, is doing what I'm doing right now. Helping entrepreneurs and people just to believe in themselves one more time and act upon that belief and go and give it your all, because you could die tomorrow or you could end up in a place where you'll be in regret. My passion, my whole psyche right now is just to help entrepreneurs to believe and to live free. Create incomes, create multiple incomes, create the life you deserve, but do it now. That for me is that is what causes me to get up out of bed every day. Knowing that I can have the ability to teach someone to live like a champion, live your all, give it your all. I mean, you think of a champion, they give it their all to win. Nobody remembers everybody that came second. Everybody remember the champion. Very few people remember the people that came, number 2, number 3, number 4, second, third, fourth. They remember the champion. So if you truly want to live like a champion, you got to give your all every day. One of my coaches in the past, not coach, like I worked with him, but somebody that I listened to, he used to always say, all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. You can't do no more than all you can do. But are you doing all?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. A lot of times we think that we're doing all that we can, and then we actually stretch. It's like that exercise, where they have you, I don't know if you've ever been in a workshop where they do that, when they tell you to stretch as tall as you
Yeah.
can. And then they say, just go a little bit more. And then what do? You go a little bit more. And it's like, well, wait a second. I told you the first time to go and do all that you could do. And so we can always do more. And yeah. So tell us, how do you do that? So what are some of the ways? So we talked about your podcast, just
Yeah.
briefly. You have a podcast, you have the Global Champion Summit, event of champions. So just tell us a little bit more about the life of Camilita and what you're up to every day.
My life is a life of service, and it's a life of structure. I believe in structure. I hate disarray. I like I like to know what's going on and have it in line. So the businesses that I run the Event of Champions, which is I set up to support entrepreneurs in this sort of a business setting where they can just learn from other entrepreneurs what they need to do. And this is done in the UK and Canada and different countries. But then I developed Global Champion Summit because I realized a lot of those people could not come to the event, but they were across the globe. So I started that, and it's going really well. People love it. People signing up across the globe to be on it. The next one is going to be in January, then we're going to have in May. I mean, literally across the year. I also run a property business because I love property, because I tell people, you're making money, put it into an asset. You do not just, spend. And then I coach and train entrepreneurs to really live the champion life and to build and to grow and to develop. And so my life is very full doing all of that and a whole lot more at the side. But I enjoy it because I get to see people's lives change more than anything else. I get to see people's lives transform, but it's very structured from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I don't miss a beat. I don't waste time. I don't get into things I shouldn't get into. My mind is 100% focused. Now that I know that I have a second chance. If everybody that's listening right now, Nicole, know that today is the start of their second chance, they will treat every minute of every day very different from yesterday.
Yes. Yes. So what are some tips for people that maybe are at that point right now? Okay, so what do they do? What are some practical things? Like you say, you stay focused every day and you have structure. And now you have a lot going on. So you have a team, you have Samantha, who's amazing, who helps you. And so you probably have other people that help you. So how do you stay focused? What are some of the specific things that you do that allow you to achieve the goals, achieve what you want to achieve?
Okay, so like for instance, this year I'm launching my shop next week. I launched my podcast. I launched my show. I brought a whole lot of products. Just wrote an ebook literally in a day. And so, but the way in which I get all of those things done is to be very structured. From the time I wake up in the morning at 5:30, there's personal development, and then there's physical development, and then there is honing. What is my plan? What is my goal? What are the things I want to achieve within a certain period of time? So I have every day goals, every week goals, every month goal, every 90 days, every 6 months, every year, every 18 months, and every 5, 10 or so years. It's literally written out. I have them right next to me. I could see them every day in front of the computer. But more importantly, I have what I need to do in order to attain those goals also in front of my computer. So I see what needs to be done. I see, if I do that, the end goal, and then I see the investments. It literally is in front of me every single day, detailed, as fine as possible. And I diarize everything. Literally, everything is in my calendar. I document everything. I write everything down. You read it, you write it, you know it. I write everything down, and I make sure that my team understands the end goal and that they are responsible for the end goal. It is not just Camilita or the Event of Champions or the brands. They are responsible for the end goal. And they are responsible for the end goal because what is in it for them. They know if they do X, Y, and Z, they will get that. So they are responsible for the growth of the business and structure and making sure that everything happens. And I keep a tight rein on, they're allowed flexibility to do what they want to do, people that we hire out or whatever. But I keep a tight rein on them understanding the reason why we are doing this. It is for our clients. It is not for money. You've got it. And so it's in perspective so people understand the reason why, what has to be done, and the beneficiaries, our clients.
Got it. You're amazing. Like I said in the beginning, you're a force of nature. So what do you do in your relaxing time? Do you take time off? How do you recharge?
I love my own company. Like, I love to be by myself. My husband knows this. Like, I would say to my husband, go to your mom, or go to your friend, or go somewhere, go to church, or go somewhere, because I like my own space. I love being by myself. So I take time to be by myself. I take time off away from people. My friend says, Camilita, you're either 100 miles or you're nothing. And that's the truth. If I'm working, I'm working. When I stop, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. I'm like that.
I switch off. I walk like 3 days a week. I love walking. I love getting away. I love going to the trees, listening to the birds, and just getting away from work. I just love being away from things. So I go away from things. But I know my limit, Nicole. I know my limit. And that's where a lot of people falter in business. They don't know the limit. When I get to my limit, I will speak to no one. If I feel tired, I cancel everything. I don't care who they are or who you are. If my mind and my health is more important than money. And so I've learned to live God first, family second, business third. And I treat everything in 3 ways. Is it important? Is it urgent, or can it wait? And so I tell my staff, if I'm busy or things are going on, I want you to think before you bring it to me. Ask yourself, is it urgent? If it's not urgent, don't tell me yet. Is it important? Can we do it probably the next day or two? Or can it wait? It may be urgent for them. It may be urgent for that person, but it's not urgent for me. So they need to treat everything like that so that we can all have sanity.
Got it. Well, you bring up a really good point there about knowing your limits. And so what I hear is, because everything that you do, I see you on social media, I see you on your podcast and on your summit, you are always on your game. And what I'm hearing in that is that in order to stay on your game, is that you don't allow yourself to get depleted and end up on a call and not be fully there. So it's as much for you, but it's also for your client. You want to be able to give them everything that you have. And so you're going to reschedule. That's excellent.
I always tell my clients, Nicole, if I'm tired, I never speak to a client. I call them, I message them, and I say, look, I'm really tired. I want to give you my best. Can I change for another day? Because I never like to do stuff when I'm tired, because it's their time and it's my time. And we will never get that time again.
Yes. Yeah. And that's not a cop-out. That's just recognizing the limits. And this is you you're living like a champion. And so this isn't like, oh, I didn't feel like it today. This is like, I'm living at a champion and I want to stay at that champion level. And so in order to do that, I always, I want to make sure that I'm rested, that I'm fully ready to play. So I love that. What has been your biggest challenge? Obviously you went through diversity young and starting out. What has been your biggest challenge as you have now gained all this success, and there's a lot of people vying for your attention and they want you to do things, and there's lots of opportunities. There's no shortage, I'm sure, of opportunities that come your way, especially if you've been in network marketing. Of course, everybody thinks that theirs is the latest and greatest. I know that one too. It's like, no, but this is it. It's like, yes. I've heard that 17 other times in the last 2 weeks, but, and all the power to them. That's not what I'm not discounting that. But for you to know what are the things that are the most important. So there's actually 2 questions I just built in there real quickly. But first of all is, what is your greatest challenge? And then how do you determine what opportunities are the right ones for you to take advantage of?
Okay, I'll answer the first one, the last one first.
Okay.
Everything that I do, I bring it before God.
Okay.
So whether it's an opportunity somebody brings to me, whether it's spending monies to build a business or in developing the business, whatever it is, I bring it before God. That's what I have to do. I have no choice, because when I don't, I pay. So I've learned the hard way. So that's my solution for everything, is I bring it before God and I ask, should I do this? Should I do this? When?
Now, when you say pay, what do you mean by that?
Well,
for those that are not familiar with that,
my mother will say, if you who doesn't feel. Well, for instance, if the Lord is saying to me, I shouldn't work with this person, God knows that it's their agenda. It's there for their good, and it's probably not going to benefit me in the way in which it should benefit me long term. So he would say, no, I don't think you should do that. And every time I go against it, I pay financially, I pay with my mindset, I pay with my health because I get tired doing it, or I just pay with feeling really like a mess because I know I shouldn't have done that. So for me, that is first for me. And so when I do that, I have very little challenges or problems that I have to deal with. But when I don't do that, the challenges and problems, I would say, that comes the most, even in building my businesses now and doing what I'm doing now, is understanding structure. It is understanding structure, because in life, you have to have structure. When I overdo it, I pay. I get tired and I feel grumpy and I don't feel as if I can deliver. So I have learned to have complete structure. And I think for most people, especially startup companies and entrepreneurs going after it and they're going for it, they're sort of wanting to looking at everybody else and thinking, well, I could do it like that, or I should do it a lot quicker, or I should build faster, my business should be further on, and they're looking at everybody else. I have learned to look towards the hills from whence cometh my help. And I've learned to not look at other people and what they're doing, because that will it would either bring you down, or it will either make you feel as if, well, I need to do more. And we don't need to do more. We just need to be more.
Thank you. And that just leads me to what I wanted to talk about next, which was the beliefs you mentioned earlier on. It's the beliefs that we have. And one of the beliefs is that I need to do more to be a champion. In order to live like a champion, what do I have to do? That's usually the question, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about here, is you're talking about being. Now, talk a little bit about some of the beliefs that you help your clients to transform, limiting beliefs and then empowering beliefs.
A lot of my clients come to me and they're like, Camilita, I can't do what you do. I'm like, I don't want you to do me, do you. And I asked the question, how many years have you been doing this? Or how many years have you had these qualifications? Or how many years? And they're like, oh, 10, 20 years. I'm like, right. Like, oh, I can't charge that much because I don't feel as if I could charge because I just got started. I said, hold on. You probably just have a website like that. You probably just created a program like that, but you have been doing this for 20 years.
Right.
How much did it cost you in school for 20 years and for 20 years after that to attain that goal? When people buy you, they don't just buy what you sell today. They're buying 20 years of experience. How much is that worth? So I teach them to understand all of who they are. Sell all of you, not what you want to sell today. That's why I have no problem with coaching a client and they're paying 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. I have no problem with charging any amount of money at all. Why? Because I'm not selling you a program that I put together last week. I'm selling you the last 20 years of my life, traveling to 50 countries, building MLM across the world, doing over 20 million in sales, what to do, what not to do, how to act with different people. I'm teaching you how to deal with people from Scandinavia and Mexico and Australia. And I'm teaching you how to deal, I'm teaching you all of that. How much is that worth? That's what I say to my clients. When you get started, it's not that you're getting started today. You're selling all of who you are, not where you are. That's the difference. And it literally shifts their mind. And they're like, oh my God, I've been undercharging my, yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Yeah. So who is your ideal client?
My ideal clients are, I coach people that are startups to people who business has done over 100 million. My last client, she's still my client, her business has done over 100 million. And I coach people who they're at a point whereby I need to do more, be more, charge more, serve more, or I need to do something else and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Those people are my ideals. Because I can talk for England and probably the Caribbean put together. But when I'm with a client, I listen to all of what they are not telling me. And that is what we then create. All the things that they're not telling me that they want to bring to the world, and I show them how to bring that out to the world, and then how to monetize that, and more importantly, how to position themselves as the expert from day one.
I love it. So, oh my goodness, there's just so much, you're just so passionate, and I can feel that even just working with you would elevate people and expand people's mindset, just being around you. Who are some of the influencers that you've looked to that have influenced you and impacted you that environment, you know,
Yes,
that environment, because we are who we hang around with.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think first and foremost is my mother, who has no education, and telling me, you need to invest in property. You need to get income so you don't have to work for money. This is my mother. Number one, that's my mother.
Awesome.
Which is why I did listen to her, and every time I speak to her now, she would say, are you still buying property? You know, are you investing? So my mother, number one, absolutely my mother. I think number two is my friend. He's my best friend. He introduced me to the industry of direct sales and also to personal development. And he's still my best friend today. His name is Alfred, and he gave me Rich Dad's Guide to Investing, the first personal development book I ever read while I was in law school. And then I said, fine, I'm gonna forget about law school. I'm gonna build a business. And then I met Sharon Lecter, who's the co-author of Rich Dad, and then she quoted me in Think and Grow Rich Women. So it was sort of coming full circle. Again, it was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich who really expanded my mind. I think it was the chapter 1, The Power of Thought. Chapter 1, I didn't need to read any other chapter. Chapter 1 was enough for me. What you think about, you bring about. It was the power of thought. What you think, who you think you are as a man, think it in his heart, so is he. James Allen. That for me was all I needed to hear. And so it was my mom, then sort of, that book, my friend, Think and Grow Rich. And I think also just looking at people like Tony Robbins and Gary Vee and all of these people they've just been themselves and they've sold who they are. And they're not trying to be somebody else. Okay, some of them use some very choice language and some of them don't, but they are who they are. And I've looked at them and I've been inspired so much by people just being themselves, to just get it out there, change people's lives, be yourself, and just be authentic you.
I love it. So what's next for you?
Oh,
I mean, wow. you have a big goal. There's a number that is important to you.
We talked about this number.
We did talk about this number.
It's amazing. I was speaking to a friend of mine just now, a lady who owns a very successful law firm in Toronto. And you know who I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah.
I literally was speaking to her a few minutes ago. We were talking about that same figure. There's only very few people I share this figure with. And we were just laughing and talking about that. And yeah, and I said to her, and I'll say this to you now, it's amazing. I said, I go before God and I'm like, seriously, like, tell me, it's there, I can see it. Like, how do I do it? Like, seriously, come on. I know it's there, I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it, I know, but I want to know, because I need to do something for it. What do I need to do? I'm going again to the source. What do I need to do? Some people's source, Nicole, is a family member. It is their coach. It is their trainer. It is, the universe or whatever they believe in. My source is God. So I go to the source and I ask, well, what do I need to do? Show me clearly what I need to do on a daily basis so that I could get, because I know it, I see it, it's there. I just don't know how. But I know that my source knows how.
Your source,
so I'm just doing what I need to do in the meantime until I get it, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about the Global Champions Summit a little bit more, about what that is. I mean, I know you have the event of champions. You do that in Canada, in my hometown in Toronto, and you do that. I'm like, why is it that all these people are doing amazing events in Toronto? I don't live there anymore. Where were you back when I lived there? And you do it in the UK and you do it around the world. But your Global Champions Summit is something that is virtual and people can take advantage of from anywhere.
I really wanted to do something that people could benefit from, Nicole. I know you're going to be joining me a few times in 2020. I really wanted to put something together for entrepreneurs to learn from other successful entrepreneurs like yourself, like myself, what we did to build a business. Let's be real. Let's be raw. Don't try to butter it up or you can make 10 million tomorrow. No, you can't. Like, seriously, there's a system, there's a process. You got to do the work. Okay, and it will take work and it will be hard and it will be rewarding and it will be all of those things. And so I want entrepreneurs to come on and teach people who are startups, people who wanting to change, people who, was already successful and going through some mess. And they're like, how do I come out of this? People who are real to teach others. You know what? It's okay. but I know you can overcome. And this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Not in a salesy environment, but in a giving, loving, sharing environment. Online, and people could join literally anywhere in the world at globalchampionsummit.com. And it's amazing. As I was saying this to our friend just now. I said, people stayed on the line for 8 hours. The last one that I did in September, 10 hours. People stayed on the line. I've never done anything where people didn't want to leave. They stayed, because I had to stay because I'm hosting it. 8, 9, 10 hours all day. People stayed in Kenya, in Japan, in Trinidad, in Canada, literally across the globe. They literally stayed on for 10 to 12 hours, and because they just couldn't get enough of the information. And in the end, the testimonials that I had, people saying, "Gosh, that was just amazing," because nobody was trying to sell. People were giving away a free product. Obviously, they were getting data capture, and they were able to allow people to hear about a brand, product, or service. But they were giving quality content and allowing the speakers to just impart in them. And it helped the speakers as well, because they connected with the others, and they were able to give away a free product. But for me, it's all about allowing people to just. The reason why I'm so passionate, Nicole, about people believing is because I didn't believe. I didn't believe in me. I didn't believe I could do what I'm doing. I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm this and that. I didn't believe. And so the longer I took to believe, the more money I was leaving on the table. To believe that I could charge this much, to believe that I can do what I'm doing, to believe that I can actually put on this summit and I can do this and I could grow this business, I can become a property investor. I mean, the list is endless. All because I did not believe.
You have the little voice that says, "Who are you?" Yeah.
And believe. Yeah. And believe. Especially when you go through mess. Especially when you go through trials. The belief you just gets knocked and you think, "Oh, I'm not sure if I want to do this." The belief. I just want people to believe.
Yeah.
And do something about it. Literally do something. Like our friend just now I was talking to. She's like, I want to write my book. And I said to her, let me show you how. And literally in 10 minutes, I showed her how to write her book, her ebook. She says, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. That for me is where I live.
Yes. Now, you talked about people from different parts of the world tapping in, and, you've been to 50 countries, you've worked with people all over the world. And, I'm in San Diego, right? You're in the UK, but you travel, to some major cities, and there's a lot of things going on. But what I realize is that, and sometimes we forget that, I think that when we don't do that traveling, we don't see outside of the kind of framework in which we live, we don't realize that there are people that this is like they're grasping on this, this opportunity here, like in Southern California. There's no shortage of events. If I was to go to all the events that are on, I would be going to events all day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they would be good events. But, and even podcasts, there's so many podcasts and things out there. But for some people in parts of the world, that this is their lifeline.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, sometimes I can take for granted saying, oh, do I need to do this podcast? Or like you said, it's like, oh, should I be doing this? And then I realize that there are people, even different parts, even within this country, that there are parts of this, places that this is their lifeline. And, to be able to share with them and to encourage them to keep going and to live life like a champion wherever they are. It's a great reminder. What do you notice when you travel around the world? What's different or what's similar about people all around the world when it comes to beliefs?
People are exactly the same. Whether they are in Scandinavia, whether they are in Sweden or in Finland, or they're in Singapore, whether they're in Africa, wherever they are, people are exactly the same. The difference that people have is culture, how they receive information, how they accept people if they take a little bit longer to do it than others. That's the difference. But people are exactly the same. We all like nice things. We all want nice things. We all have the disbelief in ourselves at some point. We all believe a lot about others than sometimes about ourselves. We all want freedom. We all want to, they're the same. They're literally the same.
Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah.
In Mexico, They love family. They love to sort of be together and like the Caribbean, rah, 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 everybody have a good time. And when we did stuff, yeah, they'll come, but you'll have to wait for them to come, but they'll come. But you gotta wait, but they will be there. They say they will be there, or they will be there, but you'll wait. The Germans, they're on time and they're leaving on time. It's for 1 minute, you gotta start on time. 1 minute, we're going. And Scandinavians gotta check you out and understand you, know who you are. When they get to like you, then they love you for life. You know, the Africans, yeah, I'm coming. Make sure they're coming, you know, because they're not sure if they're gonna come, but they're gonna come. At some point, it might be late, but they'll come. So it's just, this is what I've learned. And so I've learned to accept people for where they are, that culture is very different, and that we have to accept people and embrace their culture as well, because their culture is why they are where they are, why the Japanese and the Chinese are so inquisitive, and they always want to learn things and they want to know stuff, you know, and so we got to understand culture, because that's their makeup, that's how they act, that's what they do. But when you get down behind all of that, they're just people. They're lovely. Sometimes you want to really give them a good telling off people, but they are just people.
This reminds me, in our network marketing business, we had business around I think we were in 11 countries or something. And so we had all these different personalities, and some markets certainly were larger than others, but Greece, you know, they love to party, and they'd come to Toronto, and we would go to the Greek part of town on the Danforth. And I remember we convinced, or I should say they convinced the lounge, the bar, you know, the restaurant to open up. And so, you know, at 1 o'clock in the morning, because they're like, we're just getting started, you know, and so, you know, there's so much fun. And then we had a whole contingency in our team in Toronto that were from the islands, and we said they were on island time. So if you wanted them to be there for 8 o'clock, you know, you have to tell them 7 so that you know that they're gonna that you can start by 8.
I tell you,
because all the Germans are there waiting.
No, I've got to say this. I've got loads of Mexicans that I'm friends. They're lovely people. I love my Mexican friends. But don't forget, we had an event, MLM, and we told everybody the event starts at 8 o'clock. And look, I'm in the UK, so you can imagine what time that is in the night for me.
Yeah.
Told everybody it starts at 8 o'clock. UK time, I think, their time. So that's like 1 o'clock a.m. my time in the UK. And nobody came. It's like 8 o'clock, nobody coming. Yeah, we're coming. Yeah, don't worry, we're coming. And by like all 9 o'clock, after 10 o'clock, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I really want to sleep. And they don't turn up. But I have learned to understand that that's their culture.
It's a culture.
And in the Caribbean, it's exactly the same. It's culture. And especially in doing business with people in different countries, if you understand the Scandinavian culture compared to the Russian culture, compared to and the Chinese culture, it's what we've grown up, what we know. But underneath all of that, it is just people.
Yeah. And I know we were talking about this when I was on your podcast. I believe that every single person just wants to love and be loved. They want to have a good life for themselves, and they want to have a good life for the people that they care about.
Yes.
Now, how? So that's the what, right? And there's embedded in that, of course, the why, right? But it's the how that we differ on. How do we get there? And so when we realize that we all actually want the same thing, and we can appreciate each other from that level, then I think we'll go a long way to creating unity, creating peace in the world, where people are not criticizing other people for being different, but actually celebrating the differences. And when we talk about diversity, you know, there's diversity of ethnicity, but there's diversity of culture. There's diversity of so many personality, life experience, economic, you know, situation, upbringing, and so forth. There's so much diversity there. And I think it makes this world so colorful and so rich, rather than everybody being the same. How boring. My mother's German. She was German. And so, you know, so I know, and my dad was Dutch. So there was, you know, certain ways of doing things. Look, I love the Germans and the Dutch, but if the whole world, let's say, well, Dutch are definitely different than the Germans. They're a little bit more wild, but the Germans, let's say, right? If the whole world, God love all the Germans listening, but if the whole world was like that, you know, suck, it would be boring, right? Just like if everybody was like the Greeks, or, you know, whatever certain person, even personality, if everybody was free flowing and you know, and having a great time, would we get anything done? Maybe not. Would it be done well? you know, so the Germans, they get their German engineering, and then you bring them all together and you have this wonderful, wonderful mix. So it's beautiful. But
it is.
Camilita, thank you so very much for sharing a little bit of your passion. You have so much passion. If, my goodness, if you could bottle that and sell that, you would get to.
I am doing it, darling. My shop is going to be launched just now.
Oh, perfect. See, there you go. It's perfect. We're going to bottle it. So if you want a bottle of Camilita energy, go check out her website. We'll have all of this in the show notes, but for those of you that would like a copy of her free ebook, which just came out, How to Create Multiple Streams of Residual Income. There it is. For those of you watching on video, camilita.com/free resources. She also has the Camilita podcast. You can find that at camilita.com/podcast. Of course, all of this is at camilita.com. Everything is there. Everything is there. And she is all over social media. She'll be easy to find. Just type in Camilita and she's going to come to the top of the list. So we appreciate you being here, Camilita, and we appreciate our listeners and our viewers being here as well. I hope that you were ignited as you listened to Camilita share. If you've been in a place that maybe there's been some adversity, and all of us, no matter where we have come from, what our upbringing, we've all had some level of adversity, and it's a gift. There's a gift, there's a strength that builds our character, and we learn so much value from that. That you know that you can live like a champion no matter where you've been, what you've done, what you haven't done. Today, as Camilita said, today is your second chance. It starts right now. And I believe that leaders of transformation take action. So take action on something today. Take action and go to Camilita's website. Go get a copy of her ebook. Go reach out to her through, her follow her on social media. If you want to have a session with her, I know she has options where you can actually meet with her and talk with her if this is something that working with her personally resonates with you. But take action today. Look at your beliefs. Look at and say, what am I believing about myself that really isn't true? It's just a belief that I have, and that's not serving me in order to move to the next level of where I want to be in my life. It's time to change. You know what the beautiful thing about beliefs is? That you created them, you accepted them, if it's somebody else that enforced it. But the beautiful thing is that you can change them. And today you can start today to change them. We encourage you to do that. We'd love to hear your stories. You can find us, of course, on social media, leadersoftransformation.com. You can find me, of course, all over social media as well. We'd love to hear your stories, love to hear how you're making a difference. Go to leadersoftransformation.com. There's lots of wonderful free resources. There's also over 290 previous episodes from this podcast alone that, just in tremendous leaders and difference makers. And you can learn so much from them. That'll help you in growing your business and being the leader of transformation that you're capable of being. So I encourage you to do that. We'd love to hear from you, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Leaders of Transformation real soon.